forth. Mama, back and forth. Back and forth. Hey guys, what's going on here? And today we are. Sorry about that. What's up, guys? The Mr. Gloat's coming back at episode 53. Today we are settling updates as we speak. Now I gotta remain calm here because considering my last episode, I went through 2 hours of craziness, but again, I can't really say to myself that there's a lot to be figuring things out according to plan, but the real story goes on. What is happening? What's happening behind the scenes is what is happening. Now, of course, 6 hours ago, Counterpunch Boxing already uploaded a video about Jayo Pataya suing the IBF for stripping him of the title, which is happening today. And that right there is going to be one doozy of a hilarious story to talk about. And then I come around and I say to myself, well, something crazy better happen. And surprisingly, when looking up what's about to happen next, I look at myself and I later just realized today that Canelo Alvarez fighting against Christian Mbili is going to be rescheduled for Halloween. Halloween. For real. So with all this going on, we're having a lot of interesting arguments going on. Considering Joshua is getting set up to fight Christian Penga, Tyson Fury is also getting straight down to business, taking on a Polish fighter. So both of them are having their fights. Like Tyson Fury is fighting tomorrow, and Anthony Joshua is fighting his fight day after tomorrow, as I'm recording this. And I'm going to review both matches. Both shows. I might cut them into two parts as we speak. As this video is being uploaded, it might be uploaded tomorrow as the Fury fight's happening. But again, I really can't say for certain what will happen because we also have a bunch of other boxing fights that are about to happen. Like we have Hamza Shiraz having another. I think it's Hamza. Is Shiraz fighting this Saturday? Because I heard that he's going to fight in Saudi Arabia on the undercard with Joshua and Kristen Penga. Yeah, we're going to have that. And we also have Raito Tatsumi, who's also going to have another pro fight as well that same day. So, yeah. So, there's a lot to it. And not only that, we also have former middleweight champion Demetrius Andrade. He's taking on a Brazilian fighter tomorrow as we speak, which might be on the undercard of the Fury and Watch fight, I think, or maybe some other place, but just to try to double check it as best I could. But at the end of the day, it's mostly what are we going to look forward to while we're into this month? Because understand, last year, the month of July last year ago in 2025 gave us a lot of huge, amazing moments and a lot of tragedies and a lot of stuff that comes right between so much in life. So I really can't. And even though the month of July does give us a lot of appetites for craziness, like last year ago in August, I could barely record a bunch of videos last year ago and tried to save up time to make it through 100 episodes when I got completely tired by the end of August, but I still saved my energy as best I could to use it for UFC 7, which took me a good few weeks off until I got through my last episode, so it was worth it. But my point is, so next month in August, it seems like we're going to have other fights going on. And as I'm recording this, I think to myself, we have to be on our best behavior before something crazy happens, because because Tyson Fury claims that Anthony Joshua was pulled out when it stated that, and this is today. A boxing scene just pointed out an information that Tyson Fury claimed Anthony Joshua pulled out when both him and Fury sparred as youngsters. Now, and this is interesting, because in 2010, Tyson Fury once told us a story back in 2019 when he talked about the first time he met Deontay Wilder, and both of them were 2 years into their pro boxing career because both of them debuted in 2008. And he said something along the lines of, to everyone in the gym, telling everyone, hey, wait until the future, because one day Deontay Wilder and I are going to have a fight, and we're going to make the biggest fight ever in our careers. And now Tyson Fury is making off another story, stating here on Boxing Scene today, stating, quote, Tyson Fury has made a bold claim about his one and only spar with Anthony Joshua back in 2010. The pair sparred due to finally face off later this year after nearly a decade of back and forths. Both Fury and Joshua must overcome so-called warm-up fights this week to set up the long-awaited showdown. Fury will face Marius Watch in Pattaya, which is in Taiwan. And of course, in Saudi Arabia, Joshua has to take on Kristen Penga in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and try to see what they can do. And it is interesting because when you look at it from that perspective, because you have to understand, Joshua was never a professional boxer in 2010. But with all due to respect, there are amateur boxers in the past and some in the present that have sparred fights with professional boxers before. So you can say to yourself that even though Joshua was trying to spar his way through competition, because this is 2 years before the Olympic Games in London, he would become gold medalist, came in. So it is possible that practicing sparring fighters against professional fighters and getting your resume on could get you better. So depending on that, it's still ridiculous to hear that. And it also says here in another article of this description here stating, quote, that this is not the first time Fury has spoken of this famous sparring fight with Joshua. Back in 2009, soon after the famous rounds were shared between the two, Fury was full of praise for the young heavyweight. End quote. There's also a bunch of other crazy stuff here talking about so much that he had to take it easy, that Fury told Steve Bounds that he had to take it easy on him because he was an amateur and he might not spar with him again or something. So, because there's a lot to it. But again, understand, it's not seemingly a factor point there. So, again, whatever happened back in 2010 or even 2009 for that matter, I don't think it would really matter much to it as we speak. So it's better to leave this one alone for now, because I would rather want to talk about the fights that they're going to have tomorrow and the day later after tomorrow, because I think it's probably for the best to try to take it easy and see what happens. So, yeah. Anyway, with all this being said, so like I said before, I went through an article recently coming around the time. As of right now, considering the FIFA World Cup is over, Spain defeated Argentina in it wasn't a domination because the game ended with a score of 1-0. Even though I grade this show in an F minus, because seeing France and Argentina lose against a team that did not have a 3-0 record, and Argentina were getting obliterated in 90 straight minutes, not even making it close to any shots on the goal. And Argentina's goalie had to do everything they could to stop them from it's just crazy that Argentina weren't trying. So I really did question so much about it. But again, the FIFA World Cup is over, and even though next year will be the Women's World Cup, but I might not be here for that, so it's better to just leave it alone. But anyway, let's get down to business on the latest fights going on in boxing, as we have Kenshiro Teraji being the 60th person. Now, people say he might be the 61st, 62nd, or 63rd. People say there's 67 fighters that have become Triple Crown winners or 3 weight class champions, but most of them became WBA regular champions, which the regular belt doesn't count for people unless if you were promoted to it, just like 10 days ago on July the 10th, when Jesse the Bam Rodriguez was promoted to becoming a super champion on July the 10th, which was 13 days ago. And then 10 days later, on July the 20th, live in Kokugikan in Tokyo, Kenshiro Teraji comes in, fights for the vacant WBO super flyweight champion against Israel Gonzalez, who is actually a decent fighter. Even though this guy's 29 years old, he's not much of a knockout fighter, but he is hard if you want to bring him down to the canvas with a knockout, because he goes the distance no matter what. Even though he has had his moments of becoming champions in his time. So I didn't really think much about this fight. Like, Israel seemed like he wasn't much of a top prospect as much. The entire 12-round fight was pretty decent for what it was. Kenshiro came in, tried his best he tried his best. Kenshiro went in there. He boxed his way through so much. Like, he knocked down Israel Gonzalez in the second round, came forward. He started winning rounds in the first half so much. And there was a time when Israel did outbox him once and had started him in the first, and he outboxed him in the 7th and the 8th round. And there were moments in the 11th round which seemed like he was trying to make a comeback. And that was a little bit surprising there as well. So I was expecting maybe opportunities here. But unfortunately, Kenshiro was trying to finish it all. He scored a knockout again on him in the 12th round to stop the blood from happening. But they went 12 rounds. I had scored 116-110. Benoit Russell came out with the same score. Zachary Young came in 115-111. Gergo Kovacs had it 117-109, giving Kenshiro his 3rd weight class. Now, I did point this out, and I might point it out again. Kenshiro might not earn this belt because he's a paper champion, because now his title is now manufactured, because he never won the belt from Jesse Rodriguez. Rodriguez is now in the bantamweight. So if Kenshiro wants to make something happen, he really has to fight for all the belts. Kenshiro cannot wait any longer, because if Kenshiro wants to get the fights and try to win the belts, he better make sure that the fighters that he's fighting with are the right fighters he can fight with, because Andrew Maloney is an IBF champion. David Jimenez is the WBA champion. And I could say Kenshiro could put something into Andrew even though I do know a lot about Andrew, I never seen much about David Jimenez. The WBC belt is also vacant still. We also have another Japanese boxer that's 3-0 that goes by the name of Tomoya Tsuboi. And this fighter, as I'm looking him up right now, oh yeah, and by the way, that same night as Kenshiro won the WBO belt, Shokichi Iwata took on 19-0 Mexican fighter Eric Badillo for the WBC World Light Flyweight Championship. And congratulations for Iwata winning that belt and retaining it by an 11th round TKO victory at 2 minutes and 13 seconds. There are also other fights on the show, such as Daigo Higa, who was also another great contender, and his 2 draws he had recently was crazy enough. His opponent, Riku Masuda, scored out a great split decision victory that night in the bantamweight. Rico is now 11-1, ranked number 5 in the bantamweight. We'll see how far he goes. The other fights on the show, nothing much. But yeah, with Ahiko Honda, promoter, did a pretty decent good job for what he was trying to do. As for the super flyweight contender Tomoya Tsuboi, the problem with him is that he's been on the cutting edge lately. Tomoya has already secured out a few victories in his career, winning a fight against a 14-3 fighter by a devastating second round victory knockout. He dominated a 10-round fight to win the WBO vacant Asia Pacific bantamweight against an 18-1 fighter named Van Thao Tran in June, 3 months later. And then in November, he ended it with a bang against Carlos Cuadras, who was a former champion. And that was a 7th round TKO victory. So it was a great start for him. I was going to call Tomoya Tsuboi as Rookie of the Year for having a great start to build off his resume in 2025, as I announced him as mostly almost fighter of the year. But another Japanese fighter, as said before, Raito Tsutsumi, also had his great debuts last year ago. So it was really hard for me to know who Rookie of the Year I should pick to. So Tomoya barely became my 2025 Rookie of the Year pick. And then suddenly on April the 11th, also live around Kokugikan, Pedro Guevara came on, boxed through Tomoya. But unfortunately, coming to the second round, there must have been an accidental headbutt or something that happened at 23 seconds of the second round. The fight ended in a no contest. So with all that being said, considering, yes, Tomoya is ranked number 1 in the WBO and WBC, he's ranked number 5 in the IBF and number 3 in the WBA. But the problem is, it seems like they're pushing him too sudden, because it's crazy that these Japanese boxers, they do love to push their fighters to the limit. And don't get me wrong, these Japanese fighters taking on former world champions and longtime veterans, and they're fighting in their probably in their 3rd or 5th or 7th pro fight in their career. That's still pretty amazing for what it is. And this happens a lot. So sometimes you push your fighters too sudden. So I don't know if Tomoya Tsuboi is legit, because he is 30 years old. But again, we do have to wait for something interesting to happen, because even though he is 30 years old, recently, I really can't say for certain about any of this. Anyway, more updates on trying to find out who Mizuki Hiruta is going to fight with. So Mizuki Hiruta, 2025 Ring Magazine Women's Fighter of the Year Award, is on top of the world. But for now, it's still unspoken if she even has what it takes to fight anyone. Like I said before, in March, Gabrielle Fandora wants to go up to weight class to face Hiruta. This is my strategy. So we're at the 20-minute mark, and just to let you viewers know, I'm going to talk for maybe 20 more minutes about random stuff that's not entertaining, because I'm just trying to pull out some updates and stuff to talk about while we're getting close to the Tyson Fury and the Anthony Joshua fights. And I'm thinking about doing a 2-part episode for each episode, talk about the first show and then the second show. And it might take some days off, and I might even upload them on Monday and Tuesday as we speak. And those might be my last videos or something. This is episode 53, so 54, 55. Might get to 56 because I am talking about some other thing I want to talk about. I might have time for maybe a few more episodes until July the 31st. So I might have time for another update to talk about by the end of this month, just to know how I feel. But again, this episode has nothing to do with nothing other than the controversy and other stuff going on. But anyway, this is my point. So Gabriela Fundora, I hope I spelled her name right there. Is this her? Okay, I think I spelled her name again wrong. Okay, Gabriela Fundora is just trying to find something on Box Live. Considering Gabriela Fundora is 24 years old, she is 5'9", and Mizuki Hiruda, who's actually 5'4", and she's 30 years old. Is that going to play a factor into Fundora beating Mizuki? No, it won't. Unless if she can actually find her way to what's that word? I don't know how to explain it. Like, Gabriela has to find some. I don't know how to explain it, because this is what I want. Okay, is this her? Okay, this is her on Box Live. Okay, what's the information says for her on Box Live? Oh, interesting. Gabriela Fundora is also a southpaw fighter. That's not good for Mizuki Hiruda and for her. So, yeah, the age difference and the height reach advantage does play an interesting fact for Mizuki here. Here's the thing. So Gabriela wants to go up to the weight class. So like I said before, on March the 16th, I have talked about this before, Gabriela wants to move up. She's done the amazement in the flyweight. She wants to fight big. She's an undisputed flyweight champion, and she wants to have a huge opportunity to take on some great female competitors in the next weight class. Considering ever since with Mizuki Hiruda, who is the 2025 Ring Magazine Women's Fighter of the Year in honor, Fundora claimed 1 year prior when she fully unified the flyweight division. Hiruda is from Japan, where she trains in Southern California. So looking at this information here is different, because Hiruda, here's the thing, Hiruda went on a 4-0 terror streak in 2025. And with all this being said, she believes this might be a great opportunity for her to put together a great fight. Believing its opportunities like this can come around once in a while. There's also talks at the time that another part of this article says here that honestly, it depends on what my team says is best for me instead of Fundora. So if that's going after the WBC light flyweight champion Lourdes Zorez and going after Evelyn Bermudez, who was the former WBA, IBF, and WBO flyweight champion, which she lost against another Mexican woman as well. I think I forgot her name as well. then whatever opportunity presents itself at the time, we're ready to look at 108 pounds. So now we're having talks that a few months ago in March that her team and others want her to go down to weight class in the light flyweight to fight big, to fight for undisputed. That right there can solidify the deal. So this is my strategy. If Gabriella loses some weight, fights against Evelyn Bermudez's opponent that she recently lost, and I'm going to look up her name on the list of current female champions. Her name is Estefany Alegria, who won the belts in June the 13th, and Soares has still retained the belt since her last victory against Yokasta Valley, which everyone was shocked to see her win that fight. Same thing for Allegri, because I thought everyone thought Evelyn was going to win that fight. I thought so too, but man, just goes to show you, boxing is the unexpected. So yeah, all in all, here's the thing. 112 pounds at the weight class that you're in could be an interesting opportunity. So if Gabrielle Fundora does go on to a few pounds away and fights for these belts in the light flyweight and then becomes undisputed, depends on how long it might take, maybe until the end of 2027. I can see her fighting one of these fighters in 2027, and then someone might even say, hey, I want to fight her as well and get the big deal. Depends on how her performance is. She wins the belt, that might be great. Or she can do the opposite and go up to super flyweight, but not fight against Mizuki Hiruda. Why? Because listen to this. Mizuki Hiruda has to throw in everything she can. Mizuki Hiruda managed to squeak out one of the most toughest fights in female boxing history against May Sullivan in Giza last May. And I found that to be a great 5-star classic match, better than any other match on that show that night, considering that was the only female fight ever on the show. So when you look at that, in my opinion, understand that if Mizuki does fight one of the champions and fights for unified belts, because she is the Ring Magazine and WBO champion, Irma Garcia squeaked out an amazing knockout victory against Emma Dolan in Britain. Adelaida Ruiz, unfortunately, well, she didn't get the win. And unfortunately, Wikipedia does not... Oh, yeah, no, never mind. No. Adelaida Ruiz already won her fight 5 days ago against her rematch against Virginia Fuggs in a 10-round tough fight in their rematch. And for her to retain the belt, which was, she had to earn it. She barely did. And Natalie Delgado came out of nowhere with a lousy 27-2 record against Yasmin Zartiga's undefeated 13-0-1 record. And I think it was, or maybe it was 15-0. I think it was. And was it 15-0? I think it was. She came out there with 15 wins, 1 draw, 1 no contest, blah, blah. I think. No, 1 draw. And surprisingly, Natalie, out of nowhere with a lousy record, just did the unthinkable. So if Gabriella wants to fight against Hiruda, she has to fight one of these other champions first before taking Hiruda. Because understand this, if Hiruda fights for any of the other titles to unify the belts, then if Gabriella fights for one of the other belts herself, she will be in an opportunity for a lifetime. The thing is, if Hiruda is not going to fight for the other belt, what happens there? Gabriella can fight for that other belt as well, and both of them are unified champions. They can both fight for undisputed. That could be moneymaker. And here's the thing. You can actually throw in a huge idealism here, because Jesse Rodriguez wants to fight against Naoya Inoue, correct? And even though his trainers of Robert Garcia want him to fight one of the other champions in the bantamweight before thinking about fighting Inoue, which might be next year, so why not just throw that in? How about we have another pay-per-view of the Night of the Samurai, similar like what they did back in December with the Mexicans versus the Japanese fighting against each other in 5 professional boxing matches for the best out of 5 of the greatest against them, against the other 5 greatest from their other country. So why not do USA versus Japan? And then even if you can only organize 3 professional boxing matches, like put out Naoya Inoue, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, Mizuki Hiruta versus Gabriel Fundora. Put in another, like, I don't know, like put in, if I have to guess which fighter, like if I had to guess who I believe might be favored to be in the big spotlight here, like put in those fight works. Put in a pay-per-view of USA versus Japan. Put them all in, throw it, all the chips in, and see what we can get ourselves into. Better yet, put in Junto Nakatani to see if you can put him in a rematch against some other fighter. Like have Junto Nakatani take on Jose Tito Sanchez, who's a 16-0 fighter, ranked number 7 in BoxRec, the greatest American boxer active in the super bantamweight. Make that the third fight. How about we have Raito Tsutsumi, if I can know what weight class Raito Tsutsumi is in, if I can actually find him and know which one he's in. Like you can even put Takuma Inoue. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. Takuma Inoue versus Michael Angelita. No, that should be an interesting undefeated USA fighter we can have there. We can even put out a random Japanese fighter that might be another contender against another American contender. Like, we can schedule 5 professional boxing matches with 5 Americans versus 5 Japanese fighters, put them together, and call that money. That right there is cash right there. You put out 2 people that are from one part of the Pacific region, put them together, put a show on, that right there could be money. So if Jesse does take a win recently this year, and if Gabriella decides to have the fight against Mizuki, then they might schedule them to fight with the greatest undercard fighters on their show. And that right there is money. We put that right there. That could be the gold of excitement. Excitement is the money of what it's all about. Understand, this is the time to act quickly. And when I say act, you really have to act quickly, if you know what I'm saying, because we can put a lot of these ideas on the table and call it good if we want to. Like, we can even put out any of the Japanese fighters if we can even call it good. Like we can even have another Japanese female fight where we'll have, like, I guess, minimum weight fighter Madoka Wada. Unfortunately, she's having her fight next week against Emma Nesbitt in Auckland, New Zealand for the WBA World Title Eliminator, which I hope Madoka wins that fight. Better yet, why not just have her take on one of the USA fighters in the minimum weight or something and see if you can put money for them to fight each other? Like, there's opportunities here that we can put something here because something could happen. And I can say to myself that this could be a great moneymaker of all time. Because putting in 5 Americans and 5 Japanese fighters, similar like what they did last year ago, this could be moneymaker. This could put in newly fresh ideas. Now, of course, if they don't have 3 Japanese, if they don't have all fighters scheduled, if they can't find all 5 in a row, then you can put in the Night of Samurais of USA versus Japan, and you can only organize 3 main event fights for 3 Japanese and 3 Americans, which would be Mizuki Hiruta, Gabriel Fundora, Naoya Inoue, Jesse the Bam Rodriguez, and put in a third fight with one of the others, and then try to stage out some other random fights that are not part of the show. Put in those 3 main event fights. That right there could be gold, depending on how much excitement could be there, because you can turn this into a great pay-per-view that can work out perfectly. If the promoters are all into it, then that might work out, because this could actually lead to an amazement of assortments. Again, we're just going to have to wait and see. We're just going to have to understand what we might get ourselves into when the time comes. So now the last thing I want to point out is what's going to happen next. So this is my final thought. Before I end this episode, which I might as well, because my throat's already getting sore already. My final prediction for the Tyson Fury fight and the Anthony Joshua fight, and even the other talks about the IBF belt in the heavyweight. So, what are we going to see in the heavyweight? What do I think is going to happen? Well, here's the thing. My prediction on Anthony Joshua is that Anthony Joshua he's 36 years old. He's fought for 12 years in boxing. This will be his 13th year if it happens. Christian Panga has had his moments in boxing, considering he has scored 20 wins, all by knockout. And even though his 5th pro fight ended with an 8-round points decision, where he took on a guy with a 1-2 record in his 5th pro fight, and he lost by a referee judging the fight 77-74 by his opponent, which he lost that fight. And it stated that he got penalized a point for 1 point in round 6. So that right there might have sealed the deal of his defeat. I'll assume that was a 10-8 score or something. If it was actually a 10-9 score without the point abduction, I don't know, like the fight might have been a draw or something. I don't know. Still, Christian Panga's resume doesn't point out a lot. Like, he did took on a 16-2 fighter in 2018, which was pretty okay. He had scored quick fights, knockout sessions from Germany, Canada, some in Colombia, and he has fought in America fully in 2022, defeating interesting guys like Deshaun Webster, another great journeyman fighter. He's a North American Boxing Association Championship in 2023. He's taken on guys like Juan Torres, Willie Jake Jr., Joey Daljekel, who I have heard of a lot before. So not much here could be said. Like, he has been on a domination of knockouts. So Anthony Joshua might have to go 12 rounds of distance here. I'm assuming that's might. But if he can actually give Kristen a hard time, this fight might end in the 6th round by knockout, similar like Jake Paul. Only this fight might be more better than that. As for the entire show for Saudi Arabia, Hamza Shiraz might defend his belt against another German fighter. Josh Kelly is going to fight on for his IBF World Super Welterweight against an Irish fighter who is 18-0. So that might be interesting there. Raito Tatsumi has taken on another Mexican fighter that's 18-0-2. Jacob Bank, who's ranked number 7 in the super middleweight, and all as ranked higher, but not in a title fight, is taking on an 18-0 British fighter named Paul August. And we haven't had any problems or red flags or errors from Jacob Banks. So this might be interesting to see what his performance is going to be if he wins this fight for his 20th pro fight. We have a couple of Saudi Arabian fighters that are undefeated out there, such as Sultan Al Muhammad, Mohammed Al Akel, who I have been paying attention to these fighters, but again, we don't know how good they are. But again, they might bring out an upset victory in their career, or this might be the end. Who knows? So Joshua, I say this is a round 6 TKO victory. The other fights, they might go knockout. As for Tyson Fury, live in Thailand and Pattaya in the Max Muay Thai Stadium, I'm gonna have to point this out that Tyson Fury might hurt Marius because he's 46 years old. The guy's entire run, he has been in domination. He's been getting beaten up. He suffered a 2nd round TKO in 2024 against Moses Atama. lost against other champions and even contenders such as Arslanbek Makhmadov, Fraser Clark, Kevin Lorana, and Makhmadov got him KO'd in 6 rounds in 2022 and lost against a Polish fighter last year ago named Kekper Mena. And this year he lost against Victor Vikhurst from Ukrainian. He lost against other fighters such as Dillian White, Martin Bakali, Artur Spilka, Jarrell Miller, Alexander Poviekin. And these were fights that he lost against after he lost against Vladimir Klitschko for the Unified Championships in November the 10th of 2012. And that was the end of his career because of it. Like, Marius has fought since 2005 for 21 years right now, but I have to say with 13 of his defeats, 5 of them by knockout, he has 20 wins by knockout in his 39 victories and 51.28% of it. I just have to say that Tyson Fury I have a feeling Tyson Fury might hurt him a lot and they might stop the fight. He might get bloodied up or injured maybe in the later rounds, and they might stop the fight until the 10th round. So that's my prediction. I think this fight might end in the 10th round by TKO or a cornerman stoppage or something like that. Maybe in the 11th round. Who knows? Or maybe in the 9th. So the 9th, 10th, and 11th round might be my prediction there. But again, as for the entire show itself, the fight card is just a bunch of crap. Spencer Brown, the promoter of Gold Star, who's going to be there tomorrow, I don't know what to say about this entire fight card. Like, he has some heavyweight fighters here. He has ranked 286 fighter named Simon Abekwe, who is actually a 30-year-old fighter with 6 victories, 3 by knockout. His 5th pro fight was against a 4-0 fighter, but again, we can't say much about that. And some of his other resumes are against jobbers. And considering he's fighting against a guy named Daniel Bear, a 15-1-1 fighter in the 6-round fight, so I don't know how good that's going to be. We do have a couple cruiserweight fighters that are ranked over 1,000. Yeah, a Thailand fighter and an Australian fighter. Both of them only have a win or a couple wins against each other. The Thailand fighter has 2 wins. Lucas from the land down under has 1 victory. And as for another heavyweight fight against a 1-0-1 fighter named Mark Ahanjo, I really don't know what to say about that fight, so nothing to say about that fight. We also have Arlo Stevens, who's 2-0, taking on Arash Mardani, who is from the country of Iran, but living in Thailand. He has a great 2-0 record, which is nothing much to say. The guy fought once in 2021, retired, came back in 2025 to win again, while Arlo has actually fought his first 2 fights in April and June of 2024. So he's coming back to the ring after 2 years of hiatus. So any of these 2 guys that have undefeated records in this 4-round fight, I don't know. I really can't say, because this entire fight card seems like it's going to be a pain in the butt. I might wind through this episode quickly than I will, but again, I really can't say there's going to be a lot of good into this show. But again, not everything is going to be picture perfect. Like the tower, like the country. Here's the thing: when like before Alexander Usyk and Rico Verhoeven fought 2 months ago, all of the fights I reviewed that show were pretty good. All of the fights I reviewed might have not been all perfect. The preliminary fights were interesting. Other fights on the show might have not been good or boring, but some had their moments to talk about. And even though I would give benefit of the doubt for that, but it doesn't mean that even though the fight ended with Usyk winning by a controversial stoppage, it didn't kill the fight as much. But again, not everything is going to be perfect. So I have a feeling tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, both of these fights are going to be easy for Fury and Joshua to win. But we're just going to have to wait and see until that time comes. But anyway, guys, that's all I'm going to have to say. I'm going to end the video right here. Thank you for watching this episode. Whatever's going to happen, we're going to have to take some time to recollect on some of the stuff that's going to happen next month. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen. after this is all over. I'm still trying to find information on Alexander Usyk as we speak, but we're going to have to wait and see. So with that being said, we're at the 45-minute mark of this episode. So thank you for watching this episode and see you next time.